the Democrats, desperate to spin this thing as a victory in some way, are now trotting out more and more ridiculous arguments. So Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, who botched this thing from beginning to end, I mean, truly botched it, truly and well botched it, right? She put forward this impeachment without actively knowing what was in it. And that pre-committed her to a path where impeachment had to take place. And then, because the witnesses were not giving them exactly what they wanted, they just sort of forced through a partisan vote, which gives Republicans the excuse to say this thing is wholly partisan from the outset, which of course it was. Well, Nancy Pelosi is now faced with the prospect of having brought an impeachment that did not receive a single Republican vote in favor of the impeachment, and not a single Republican vote, presumably, in favor of conviction. Okay, and now Nancy Pelosi is out there trying to proclaim that she won, right? She's insisting that she won, even though the game is over and she lost. Here she is explaining, don't worry, President Trump is never acquitted. No matter what, he's not acquitted. Now, she's going to have to explain how it is that after you're acquitted by the Senate, you're not acquitted. I mean, it's sort of like saying that O.J. Simpson was not acquitted. O.J. Simpson, you can still say he's guilty, right? But O.J. Simpson was, in fact, acquitted by a jury. Okay, the fact is that Donald Trump will be acquitted. That is a thing that is going to happen. But she's claiming that his acquittal does not matter. It's not real. Why, Nancy Pelosi? Explain.
Do you think that President Trump will be chastened and understand that he's got a Congress watching him? Or will he be emboldened because the Senate will have acquitted him?
Well, he will not be acquitted. You cannot be acquitted if you don't have a trial. And you don't have a trial if you don't have witnesses and documentation and that.
No, that's not how any of this works. So a few reasons why this is idiotic. Number one, the Senate procedures are decided upon by the Senate. That's in the Constitution. Okay, the trial is at the behest of the Senate, and the procedures are decided upon by the Senate. And if you're acquitted, you are acquitted. That's number one. Number two, Nancy Pelosi is actually now making the case. She's now actually making the case that Trump was never impeached, not just not acquitted, not impeached, because she's making the case that you cannot have a Senate trial without witnesses, right? So that doesn't count as a trial. Okay, well, what if you have an impeachment without the very witnesses that you are assuming are necessary for the trial itself? Right? So if you are saying that the trial never took place because no witnesses were called in the Senate, well, you didn't call any of those same witnesses in the House. So what exactly were you doing in the House? Does that count as an impeachment now? Like, this is just attempting desperately to grab onto any piece of news and try and treat it as though she has gotten a victory when she's pretty clearly lost. Angus King, the quote-unquote independent from Maine, he is not independent in any way. He's a Democrat. He says, without witnesses, he's never acquitted. This is going to be the Democratic talking point. He's never been acquitted, guys. Don't trust your eyes in your ears. Trust me. Doesn't matter what the vote says. He's never been acquitted.
Frankly, from the president's point of view, if this trial winds up in the next 24, 48 hours with no witnesses, he can say, well, I was acquitted, but he really can't say he was exonerated. I think there'll always be an asterisk by this, trial, but no witnesses. I mean, one of the senators last night said, we had a judge impeachment about 10 years ago. There were 22 witnesses, and we're having no witnesses in the Senate. It's never happened before. And the American people understand. They watch Perry Mason and Law and Order. You always have witnesses.
Okay, again, this is such a ridiculous contention that if you don't have witnesses at the trial, you know what else you normally have at a trial? A prosecution that brings its case. Normally, you have a prosecution that brings its entire case, right? If you're in a normal criminal trial and the prosecution showed up and they're like, okay, well, we don't actually have a crime we're charging, so we're not going to charge a crime. Also, we're not going to bring sufficient evidence, and we insist that the defense call our witnesses for us. We insist that in no way is a Senate trial comparable to a criminal trial. So suggesting that a trial has not taken place because you didn't get the witnesses that you wanted, that you were fully capable of calling in the House, is an absurdity on its face. But this is what the Democrats have been relegated to because they lose. Okay, they lose. This is over. They lose. Facts don't care about your feelings, and it's a fact that The Ben Shapiro Show is the largest conservative podcast in the nation. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our content.